When we were kids, we used to hear that chameleons change their color to match whatever they stand on. So if you took a chameleon and placed it in a desert standing on sand and rocks, its color would instantly turn yellow. And if you moved that same chameleon to an area full of trees and plants, placing it on the ground, it would immediately turn green. They even said that if you put a piece of red cloth under a chameleon, the moment its feet touched the fabric, its body would start turning red, almost as if through its feet, it had some kind of magical ability to absorb colors from anything it touched.
Hey guys, I'm Adam. Before we get started, if you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video.
Chameleons don't change their color to match whatever they're standing on. A chameleon can be perched on a tree branch and suddenly shift its body to red, then blue, then yellow, and so on. It has nothing to do with the surface it's on or the colors around it. A chameleon has full control over its body color, regardless of its surroundings. No one can force it to take on a specific color either. If you place it on a red cloth, it won't just turn red. If anything, it might look at you like, what are you even doing? And if that surprises you, here's the bigger twist. If I asked you why chameleons change color, you'd probably say it's for camouflage, so they can blend in, avoid predators, or sneak up on prey. Sounds logical, right? But that's not the main reason. Camouflage is actually one of the last things on a chameleon's mind. Yes, blending into their environment can help them stay hidden, but chameleons don't usually change color for that purpose. The truth is much more interesting. The primary reason chameleons change color is to express their emotions. For them, color works like a language, for example. A chameleon may turn green when it's calm and relaxed. Yellow often signals fear or stress. In the dark, it might shift to a sandy tone with hints of yellow. When it's angry, it can turn black or display other dark colors. Blue is commonly seen when it's in a deep sleep. On top of that, a chameleon's color can also change in response to hormonal activity. And that leads us to what is, from the chameleon's perspective, the most important reason of all, attracting a mate. When testosterone levels rise in a male chameleon's bloodstream during mating season and he becomes sexually aroused, he begins to shift his colors into bright, eye-catching shades like yellow, orange, and red. This is, of course, to attract females and express his intense readiness to mate. He also changes color during competition or fights with other males. After the conflict ends, the defeated male labiant turns dark brown or gray as a sign of submission, while the winner lights up in vivid yellows, oranges, and reds, almost like he's glowing with victory. One interesting fact is that only male chameleons have a strong ability to change their body color, whereas females have very limited capacity to do so. So if you ever see a chameleon that doesn't noticeably change its color, it's most likely a female. And since color changing is primarily used for mating displays, she simply doesn't need it. The males are the ones putting on the show to win her over, while she stays right where she is without changing much at all. So chameleons don't change their color to hide. In fact, it's the opposite. They mainly change their colors to stand out and grab attention. Finally, one of the reasons chameleons change their color is to respond to weather conditions and adapt to their surrounding environment. They adjust their color to regulate their body temperature, for example. A chameleon may shift to a darker shade to absorb more light and heat, raising its body temperature. On the other hand, it can turn lighter to reflect more light and heat, helping keep its body cool. That's why chameleons found in cooler regions and rainforests, like those in Madagascar, often display vibrant bluish tones, while those living in desert environments tend to have lighter gray coloring to reflect more sunlight. At night, however, they may switch to darker colors. Interestingly, chameleons can sometimes display two completely different colors on each side of their body. This usually serves a specific purpose, such as responding to the direction of sunlight and shade. The side facing the sun may turn lighter to avoid overheating, while the shaded side becomes darker to retain warmth. So the big question now is, how do chameleons actually change their skin color in such a remarkable way? For many years, there was a simple explanation for how chameleons change the color of their skin, and this explanation was widely accepted in scientific circles. It stated that chameleons have different types of cells in their skin containing three pigments: yellow pigment cells, red pigment cells, and dark melanin pigment cells. According to this idea, because chameleons possess these three pigments, they are able to produce all the other colors found in nature by mixing them together. At first glance, this explanation sounds reasonable and even convincing. But if you think about it more carefully, something doesn't quite add up. This theory assumes that the three main colors involved are yellow, red, and black. However, these colors alone are not sufficient to produce the full spectrum of colors. While mixing them might create shades like brown, orange, or beige, it cannot produce colors like green or blue. Yet in reality, we clearly see chameleons displaying colors such as green, blue, pink, indigo, and purple. This means the explanation is incomplete. Recent research has shown that chameleons do indeed have these three types of pigment cells: yellow, red, and dark melanin. But these are not the only elements responsible for their color-changing ability. In other words, the older explanation was only part of the truth. In addition to these pigment cells, there is another crucial component: a vast number of tiny crystals located beneath the pigment layers. Chameleon skin is made up of multiple layers. The top layer contains the pigment cells, while the layers beneath contain specialized cells filled with extremely small, regularly arranged crystals. Each of these crystals can be as small as 130 nanometers. These nanocrystals play a key role. They reflect incoming light, but they do so according to very specific physical principles. When light hits these crystals, it undergoes a process of scattering. Some wavelengths are absorbed, while others are reflected. This behavior depends on the structure and spacing of the crystals. Here's how it works. When the distance between the crystals is small, they reflect shorter wavelengths of light, especially blue. As the spacing increases, they begin to reflect longer wavelengths, particularly red. Between these two extremes, other colors are reflected depending on the exact spacing. This means that the color of a chameleon's skin is the result of two factors: the wavelengths of light reflected by the crystals and the pigments present in the upper layers of the skin. For example, if a chameleon wants to appear green, it adjusts the spacing between the crystals in the lower skin layer, bringing them very close together. When light hits these tightly packed crystals, most of it is absorbed, and primarily blue light is reflected. As this blue light travels upward, it passes through yellow pigment cells in the upper layer. When blue light combines with yellow pigment, the result is the green color we see. Using this same mechanism, chameleons can produce a wide range of colors and effectively blend in with their surroundings. What we just explained is almost exactly like the blue color you see on the wings of the Morpho butterfly. That's because the blue Morpho butterfly doesn't actually have any blue pigment on its wings at all. The whole idea is that its wings contain incredibly tiny ridges and gaps that bend light in a very specific way. So the only wavelength that gets reflected is the one corresponding to the color blue. If these tiny gaps change in any way, whether in their structure or the distance between them, the blue color disappears completely without any pigments involved. Now, going back to the chameleon, we can test this idea in a simple way. If we have a chameleon that's showing a certain color, let's say green, and we gently press on its skin, what happens is that the pressure causes the crystals beneath the skin to compress and move closer together. As a result, the area where we applied pressure will automatically shift from green to blue. Once we remove our finger, the spacing between the crystals returns to normal, and the area goes back to its original green color. And that's it. We're done. If you made it this far, you're the real ones. Before you go, drop a like so we know how many of you watched till the end. And don't forget, if you ever have a random late-night question that keeps you up, write it in the comments below the video so we can answer it. See you.